Now this is one of the popular budget keyboard in market right now, and I have personally recommended this keyboard to a lot of people, and I wanted to try this out myself to see if it's worth it or not. Hey, I'm Santa and welcome to the channel where I try to review products with real facts without sugarcoating and marketing hype. Just honest reviews you can actually trust, and today I'm reviewing EVOFOX Ronin. Now within the box we have our usual documentations, some accessories and extra switches, which is nice, and then the keyboard itself. Now holding up the keyboard feels like the plastic is a bit cheap and it's a very light keyboard, but at least it's holding up quite alright. Oh, and it's an empty shell, and yeah, this keyboard definitely needs some maintenance. Now it does offer some decent gasket performance, and the switches on this keyboard feels quite nice. Now this keyboard looks stylish with two-tone keycaps from the distance or maybe on camera, but if you look closely, the grey toned keycap legends are blurred and you can directly compare them with the afros or black keycaps, and it's only going to get worse over time since these are ABS keycaps. Now let's take a look at their product page, and we can see a few highlights like 4000 mAh battery, so-called advanced gasket structure, and wait, what's Pro mode hot swap? I know there is swap and hot swap, but Pro mode hot swap? And they are saying 9-layer gasket structure against the image of layers of keyboard and giving a gasket image highlighting a stabilizers keyword. So they are basically saying same thing in two different contexts against two different images, and they claim fade resistant keycaps clarity, maybe because they are already faded, and it also says 2000 mAh battery in their FAQ, and their software is being blocked by browser, which is quite expected from a cheap keyboard, but you can copy the link and paste it on this site to scan it for any potential viruses, and this file looks safe to use, but for this video I won't be installing this software. Now let's turn on the keyboard to some of the RGB, and surprisingly it's quite good, but with keycaps, oof. For comparison, I have placed some better keycaps and you can see how bright those are, and default keycaps are limiting the RGB performance by 20 to 30%, which is something you can notice, and they also give out a pingy sound when tapped, which is quite annoying. And yes, the knob of this keyboard is really good, feels quite good and responsive, but due to lightweight of the keyboard, when pressing the knob for mute or unmute, the keyboard slides away. Let's check out some RGB effects on this keyboard, and to be honest, they are pretty good. Now let's open up the keyboard to take a peek inside, and starting with the keycaps. And I really like how they have placed foam for the entire board and left no hollow space, and they even covered the spacebar, and the stabs are pre-looped, but they are not good at all. And now we pry open the back of this keyboard, and अगर तुम ये keyboard लेने की plan कर रहे हो तो so you are fairly new to the keyboard hobby, so be careful because it's not easy. There are high chances that you might break the keyboard in the process or might bruise your fingers. And if you go higher in the budget, the need to mod your keyboard from within वो कम हो जाती है because they already come with decent sound dampening sand material, so इतनी need नहीं होती. So you can skip that part as well until or unless you really want to experiment. But with the cheap budget keyboards जिसमें कोई साउंड डैम्पनिंग लेयर्स इतनी नहीं होती, I highly recommend you to mod your keyboard, and trust me, it will make a big difference. Now we have good 4000 mAh battery and this useless foam, which won't make any difference, and it's not even covering the entire case. Now let's focus on the best part of the entire keyboard, which is this. A beautiful red hot swap PCB with no flex skirts, which reduces a bit of bouncy performance but can have a bit of good effect on the sound of the keyboard, plus a decent PC plate which spreads the RGB lights quite well, and the sandwiched foam. These are the only things that are right in this board, and these are the only reason why this board is not in a trash. But in my board they gave me only 8 gaskets and one is missing, and even with such a big marketing like 9-layer gasket, ho, and they still fail to deliver their biggest selling point. Now to mod this keyboard. To potentially improve the sound, we need to fill the empty space with some sound absorbing material, and I'll use an old desk mat for this. Make sure the rubber side of the desk mat faces up, and I have made cutouts for the case, leaving the special joints for locking system and a battery wire. But make sure you are not overlapping any of the joints. And instead of throwing this foam, I will use it here. Now I'll do 2 layer of tape mod on the PCB. Now make sure you are leaving cut out for the battery indicator, and you don't need to be very neat and clean. It's only the internals, and make sure you are squeezing out any excess air between the tape. And now connecting our wire, and make sure it turns on, and now assemble it back. Now make sure you don't go overboard with the stuffing of sound dampening materials, as the case won't close. And the Type-C port should align perfectly, and closing the case is comparatively easy. And during disassembly, start with the knob, it might be easier. And now comes the stab. You first take off the foam cutout pieces and push out the stabs like this. Now I'm going to use a cheap dielectric grease from Amazon and take out our stab wires. Wipe the existing loop with the cloth or a tissue paper and dip our wire into the loop and spread it out evenly using a brush, and then lock them back in. Apply some light layer on stem's side as well, and then push them back in, and we are done. Now repeat this process for all the other stabs. And for the keycaps, I will be switching to some PBT keycaps I already own, and a quick transition to the final stage. And now let's also turn on the keyboard, and it already looks really good. RGB also complements the keyboard, and it's not necessary to get these keycaps only. You can also get some good quality shine through keycaps, but I'd highly recommend you invest in some good quality keycaps rather than using the ones which came with the keyboard. In my opinion, it's a decent keyboard which checks some of the boxes and could be a potential first purchase for you if looking to buy an entry-level keyboard which you can mod later. But the question is it worth it? Well, for the wireless keyboard which comes around 4,000 rupees is not worth it, as some other keyboards available in the market which comes with better dampening layers and keycap quality. But if you are low on budget, I'd say go with the wired one, else wait for a sale and see if the price drops for around 3.2k or something. And many will say it's a budget keyboard, what did you expect? And they're right in some sense, as some people buy only keycaps expensive than this entire keyboard. But in my opinion, EVOFOX did a lot of false advertising and misled product info. And if you scroll down on YouTube or social media, you'll see a lot of people trying to sell you these lies by saying these are the best quality keycaps, there are 9 layers of sound dampenings and more. And that's why you should do your own research. Well, that's all folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.